So how to get up after a fall? What I would love to share is a technique and then movements to help that technique. So you can think of this as a preventative measure. And also if you do fall, which I hope you never do, you have the tools and the strength to help you get up. One, without causing any injury, and two, to get up with any sort of knee issues, arthritis in the knee, knee replacements. If you find you can't put pressure of your knees against the floor, this is a knee-friendly way to get up. So let's say you have fallen, whether you've fallen on your side, on your back, on your front. I'm just going to lay down and go through the first movement. Now the first movement actually isn't a movement, it's a checklist for you to think about. So when you've fallen, the natural tendency for your brain will be to rush up. You must get up really quick. But as we know, if you get up quick and you don't know if you've injured something, you could just be causing more wear and tear and more injury to an already injured area. So before you do anything, what we want to do is calm down the stress response, specifically an area called the amygdala. So let's say you've fallen. All you want to do is the first C of the 3 C's, which is to calm. Calm yourself down. And the easiest way to do this is just to start focusing on the breath. Because remember, there'll be shock, there'll be adrenaline, there'll be stress, there'll be panic. So we want to calm all of those emotions down by focusing on your breath. And I always recommend people just to do a 3 and then a 3 out. 3 in the nose, 3 out the mouth. And do this for however long you feel. You get that sense of, okay, I feel like I am back. I feel like I'm back in the room now. Whereas before it was shock, it was what has just happened. So essentially we've switched an area of your brain on called the prefrontal cortex, as opposed to before it was the amygdala, which helps us now get to this point, which is the other C, and that's to check in. Now we have a bit more thinking going on and we're back in the room. We can check in with our body. Before you move, before you do anything, check. Body scan your whole body, starting with the feet, just checking in. Okay, did I land on my feet? How are my feet feeling? Wiggling them around a little bit. Only very, very gentle movement. Then you're scanning up. How are my knees? How do my hips feel? Start touching. Have I hurt my elbow? Where did I fall? Did I land on my wrist? What are my wrists feeling like? How is my low back? Just gently pressing the low back against the floor. Not aggressive movements. Checking in with your head. The bleeding. Is there bleeding? Have you hit your head? Moving the head gently to the side. Being super gentle with this check-in. And this is why this first part is super important, the calming down part. Because if you've ever had something happen before and there's lots of adrenaline, what does adrenaline do? It mutes the pain response, so we're less aware if we're injured. So that's why it's super important to calm, because then we're very much more aware of our state, of our being, of our injuries. So we're scanning the whole body and we're taking our time here. We're not rushing. We're giving it, 5 to 10 minutes, however long it takes, but just gently coming to and thinking, okay, how actually am I? Which then sets you up for the last part of the 3 C's, which is to either C, call for help. If you feel you were injured, if you feel, okay, I've really damaged my wrist, I won't be able to push up. If you feel my leg is in a lot of pain, I won't be able to drive up with my leg. If you feel my head was knocked, I'm bleeding, then you want to call for help. You don't want to risk it and move. This is one of the first things they teach you in beach lifeguarding or surf lifesaving is if someone is injured, the first protocol is to not move them, because you don't want to injure anymore or create more damage to an already damaged area. So call for help if you think you're too injured. But if you feel okay, if you think, you know what, I'm a little bruised, but I feel okay. And that's the next C, which is to then continue. So you either call for help or continue, which is where I'll share the technique. So the first part of the technique, now if you're on your side, you're already in this position. So if you fell on your side and you're just staying here, then just stay in this position. I'll explain the arm movement. If you've fallen onto your stomach and you're in this position, again, it's much easier to roll onto your side very slowly. as opposed to moving to your back and then the side. So the side position is where we want to end up. Again, I'll show you the exact position in a second. But if you're on your stomach, you slowly move your whole body together. So you're not moving different body parts. Move the whole body together. Remember, everything's slow, and you're only doing this point after the 3 C's. If you're on your back, this is the technique. You bring your legs in. One arm goes to the side because we want to create momentum. This arm helps with momentum. If you're on your back, arm comes up, and then we move everything together in a log roll technique. Now, here's the important part. Hand here, above this arm. You can keep your head down, just for the context of speaking to you here. You can keep your head down, but this is the first phase. To get from where you've fallen, knees in, everything tucked in. Notice how I'm in kind of like a turtle position. My limbs aren't sprayed out, or splayed out, whatever the term is. We're close in. Arms under you, hand here. So that is the first part of the technique. Now, where I come into play with giving you movements, try to practice that. Practice that log roll technique just to get that motion. So you can do this in bed. You can even practice both sides. You think, okay, here, arm there, knees together, move my head, shoulders, hips, feet, all at the same time to get me into this position. Then you would go back. When you practice something, your brain builds the networks for that motion to become easier. So if you've fallen, like I said, I hope you never do, but your brain will remember, oh, we've been practicing this, how to get up. So when you're here, as long as you're not injured, if you're on your back, if you're on your side, if you're on your stomachs, if you've been practicing to get to here, it's going to be a much easier process. So this is movement 1, and the first part of the technique, and the first exercise to go ahead and practice is this log roll technique. Okay, so now the first phase is out of the way. This is where it gets hard, and this is where we have to rely on a lot of upper body strength. Now, because we're not using our knees, the easiest way would be to tell someone, okay, get onto your knees. But that's all well and said. What if your knees are shot? What if you fell on your knees? What if you have arthritis on your knees? What if your knees feel they've had a lot of pain over the years? Then we're limited, right? So from this position, what we want to think about is now arm strength to essentially prop you up in another resting position. This is a resting position. Then we can use this arm, this front arm, as a push to allow this arm to move and to step under us. So we're here. You want to push the floor away with this arm, which requires arm strength. I'll show you the movement in a minute. To get to this position. Again, notice how everything is tucked in. So once again, we're here. We're pushing up. Head can be on the floor. Arms under you. This is the technique, and I'll show you an exercise in a second to practice. But once more, you've got to here. And you can rest in this position as well. You can think, okay, take a second so I don't get dizzy. I don't get lightheaded, because we don't want to faint. So just take a second here. This can be another resting point. Check in with your body, how am I feeling? So to practice this part, an exercise that I'd love to give you to help the arm strength and the technique to get you into that position is to do that exact motion against a wall. And this is where we can practice. So what we want to think about is, okay, we're on the floor. What does my body look like here? So the arm is under here like this. Cool. Don't worry about turning your body like this. So you're here. You can face the wall. You can slightly turn away. One arm is here. One arm is on top, just like you would be when you were on the floor, right? And we're literally going to practice that motion. It looks a little odd, but we want to strengthen and mimic what we want to get better at, right? So we're here, this front arm, we're practicing pushing for this arm to meet. And then you would continue. I'd stick one side at a time. This arm, push, this arm moves, meets here. Get low to it, because your arm will be bent in, right? So we're not going to be straight. Arm will be here. This arm, push the wall away. Straight away, I'm feeling here. And we're building the exact strength we need in that floor position to prop us up. So let me just show you a couple more. Show you from this side. There. And if you've got shoulder pain, you can't quite dip the arm down, that's fine. You can work wherever feels comfortable. Arm tucks in, push. Not too far away from the wall, because straight away I'm feeling all of these muscles fire up. Like so. And that will practice the second part of that technique, which is the push. And now I'll go back to the technique where we look at the next phase, which is probably the hardest phase, because now we require glute, hip, leg, arm strength, core strength, all at the same time to essentially prop us up. Now, because we're not using the knees, we're not pressing the knees against the floor, what we want to think about is this back foot. This back foot is going to create a push-off point to essentially help us up. So let's say you're here, you pushed up, you're taking your time, you're checking in, okay, I feel all right. The leg that's out on top, we place that on the floor. That's the first position. Now what we want to think about is a push with the foot, push with the arms at the same time, keep everything close to the body. This leg is essentially moving under you. It's moving under you to get to a wide stance position. And this is where we're going to be able to push up from. So we're here, we're pushing with the arms, we're pushing with the leg, with the foot, for this foot to come under us into a wide stance. Now, why we want to think about width is because when you have width, you have a greater base of support. The weight is dissipated outwards, as opposed to if it was like this is hard. That could happen. It's very hard to push up from there. But if it's here, I feel good here. You'll feel good here. And then we've done the hard part. We've done the hard part in that position. Then we use the floor as a ladder. You want to take your time. Again, you could have injured your back with a little hit that you weren't aware of. So you're taking your time. Then with hands on the knees to crawl yourself up. Then bringing the feet in. And then getting yourself in a seated position or somewhere where you can rest. Let me show you that once again. And then you know what you might be thinking, that's too intense, I can't do that. But remember, I give you moves so you can go away and practice this as a preventative measure. So we're here. Let's just do this part. Push, same time. This leg comes under. Use your head to move with you. And now I'll show you how to practice that part. And we can do this from a much greater height, essentially building the strength at a greater height to help us safely practice this part of the technique. So you would mimic what that position would be. So the foot, this would be pushing off. Let's say this leg is here, or you can tuck it in like that. Support with the arms, and we're essentially using this foot, the arms on the pillow, to push off for this hip to swivel in. Like that. So don't mind where this foot is. It could be tucked in, it could be here, but just make sure you're pushing off with the arms to get us here, and then it's the ladder. And you could practice both sides, absolutely. So you're here, this foot, this leg can tuck in, wherever you want it to be. We push for you to swivel. Use the pillow, then use your body as a ladder. Then you keep that flow. Let me show you two more. So you're here. Take some weight. Push. It's always this back foot. And then over time, what you can do is reduce the height. So now we've built the strength up, you can go even lower down. There. And practicing that. Because what this is practicing is the exact strength that will be needed for this. If we can practice from a height and slowly work our way down, when we're on the floor, we'll have the strength to be able to stand up. So here's a quick summary. You've fallen, you're doing the first C, which is to calm. 3 seconds in, 3 seconds out, however long it takes. This brings back the prefrontal cortex back online, which allows us to then check in head to toe. How am I? Am I injured? Am I bleeding? Have I broken my wrist? Where did I fall? With that check-in allows you to then move to the third C, which is to call for help. If you do not feel comfortable moving, if you've broken a wrist, if you feel like you've broken your arm, if you feel like you've broken your foot, it's so important to not move. So call for help. And then if you feel good, you've done the scan, you've moved a little bit, you think, okay, I think I'm all right. Then you move on to that technique, which is the first part. If you're on your back, you do the log roll technique. If you're on your front, you would slowly move, the key word being slow, to this position, which is here, then pushing with the arm. We're practicing that move on the wall. Leg comes up, pushing with the foot, pushing with both arms, wide stance, using the floor, taking your time, and then getting yourself to a seated position so you can recover. So I hope that's helpful. That is what I call the roll, push, and drive technique without using your knees. And I'll pop in the description of this YouTube some recommendations on reps and how to apply these movements. But I really hope you never have to use it, but if you start practicing, if you do have a fall, you have the strength, you have the confidence in your body to stand back up without causing any further injury. Appreciate your time, and as always, really hope this video was helpful.